Welcome back to your favorite Pre-Calculus 1 Expanded course. We're going to take a look at factoring trinomials. Let's start out. When I like to do these backwards FOIL. You know, if we were foiling like x plus 2 times x plus 3, we would do first, you know, that'd be the x squared. Then we do the outer, x times 3 is a 3x. Then we do the inner, 2 times x, and then we do inner, and then we do the last 2 times 3 is 6, and we combine like terms, x squared plus 5x plus 6. Well, we're just going to do that backwards. So here we're given x squared plus 13x plus 36. So I'm going to go ahead and factor this. I look at this very first x squared, and I think, well, it's got to be x times x are my only options, right? So I know my first, those two got to be factors of x squared. So those are my only options. So I'm going to throw in there x and x. Now I'm going to look at, that's from my first one, right? And then we go outer and inner. That comes from the middle terms, right? But then the last one, that 36 right there, are factors of, or the last two are going to be factors of 36. So I would go to the side and I'd say, well, what are all my factors of 36 that I could use? And notice it's a positive 36. So it could be 1 times 36. It could be negative 1 times negative 36. It could be 2 and 18, or negative 2 times negative 18. It could be 3 and 12, or negative 3 times negative 12. It could be 4 and 9, or negative negative. It could also be 6 and 6. So which one of these are you going to use? Well, if it's positive 36 and you notice the inner term is 13x, then I'm thinking to myself, well, the factors have got to sum up to, because they're both the same sign. They're either plus plus or it's either negative negative. So when I add them up, they got to add up to 13. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to pick 4 and 9 then. And I'm going to try that. Plus 4 plus 9. And let's check it. Is that really factored form? Well, x times x is x squared. X times 9 is the 9x. 4 times x is 4x. And finally, 4 times 9 is 36. Make sure you combine any like terms. Is that what we started with? Yes, it is. So there's our factored form. We backwards FOILed. And that's how I like to think about these. That's how I like to factor trinomials. And by the way, if you've exhausted everything and it cannot be factored, you just say that it's prime. But let's go ahead and try this next one here. We got x squared plus 17x plus 60. So again, I'm gonna factor, I'm gonna look at that first term, the x squared, right? So I know it's got to be x and x. And now I'm looking at the 60. So I'm thinking to myself, well, what are factors of 60? Now it's a positive 60, so 1 and 60, or a negative and a negative, right? Or 230, or 3 and 20, or 5 and 12, or 6 and 10. And I could go negative, negative on all those as well. If it's a positive, I know they have to sum up to that 17. They have to sum up to that 17. So hopefully you're thinking, well, it's either got to be positive 5 and positive 12, or negative 5 and negative 12. Well, since the middle is a positive 17x, I'm going to pick plus and plus. Right? Let's try plus 5 and plus 12. And now let's check it. So you check it, x squared plus 12x outer plus the inner plus the last. Make sure that's what you started with. It is. So there's our factored form. All right, once you try this next one here, go ahead and pause the video. X squared plus 11x plus 30. Go ahead, check yourself. Should have had that x plus 5, x plus 6 on this one. Now this one we've got, notice this trinomial. If I look at the x squared, I know it's got to be x. And then I'm looking at the 42, so I know it's got to be a positive and a positive, or negative and a negative. So I could have 1 and 42, or negative 1 times negative 42. Could have 2 and 21, or negative 2 and negative 21. We have 3, 14, negative 3, negative 14, 6, 7. Now, the middle term, though, if you notice, is a negative 13x. So these will sum, the factors should sum up to, sum because it's a positive 42, right? They'll sum up to negative 13. So instead of using plus 6, plus 7, I'm going to use negative 6, negative 7. And again, make sure you check this thing. Right? Always check it. X squared minus 7x minus 6x plus 42. Negative 6 times negative 7 is a positive 42. And notice I get a negative 13x in the middle. That's the original. There it is, factored. Go ahead and try that next one real quick. Check yourself on that one. You should also get that x minus 5, x minus 20. Now this next one, we've also got another trinomial. We know it's got to be x and x. Now I'm looking at the negative 42, right? That negative 42. Negative 42. So I'm thinking to myself, well, it's got to be 1 and negative 42, or negative 1 times a positive 42, or 2 and negative 21, or negative 2 positive 21, or 3 negative 14, or negative 3 positive 14, or 6 and negative 7, negative 6 positive 7. Now, notice the signs are different, right? One's got to be positive, one's got to be negative to multiply to give us the negative 42. So that means when I do the outer and the inner, they've got their difference. Their difference has to be negative 11. Their difference has to be negative 11. Right? So I'm thinking to myself, well, which of these factors has a difference of negative 11? Well, it's got to be the 3 and the negative 14. So that's what I'm going to choose on that. I'm going to try a plus 3 and a minus 14. And I'm always going to check it. Now recognize you guys are probably going to screw these up a lot. So just make sure you check it. If it didn't work once you've checked it, notice that's minus 11x here. If it doesn't check out, then you got to try different factors, right? But you will screw these up quite a bit, right? Let's do this next one here. Let's factor x squared minus 10x minus 24. So again, I'm looking at the x and the x. Now I'm looking at the 24, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to try 1 and 24. I could try 2 and 12. So one of them's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. Try 2, negative 12, or negative 2, positive 12, or 3, negative 8, or negative 3, positive 8, or 4, negative 6, or negative 4, 6. But one's positive, one's negative, so their difference has to be negative 10. So I'm thinking to myself, well, whose difference is negative 10? I'm going to try that, plus 2 minus 12. And I'm going to check that, x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 24. There it is. There's the minus 10x in the middle. It's 24, so it does check out on that. Go ahead and try that, x squared minus x minus 72. Pause the video there. Go ahead and check yourself on that, x plus 8 and x minus 9. And pause it if you need to. Let's move on. Otherwise, we've got x squared minus 7x minus 27. And so we'll go ahead and notice the x squared. So we know it's got to be x and x. And we could try factors of negative 27. So 1 and negative 27, or negative 1, 27. 3, negative 9, Well, negative 3, positive 9. Now if I run through these, notice that I have to have them, their difference has got to be negative 7. So let's say I try plus 1 minus 27. That's not going to work. I'm going to get a minus 26x in the middle. So let's say we try minus 1 plus 27. That's not going to work. That's going to give us a positive 26x in the middle. So now let's say we try plus 3 minus 9. Well, that's going to give us a minus 6x in the middle. Not minus 7x, a minus 6x in the middle. So that's not going to work, nor is minus 3 plus 9. That's going to give us a positive 6x in the middle. So none of these are going to work. I'm out of options. And so I just say this thing is prime. This cannot be factored. So prime cannot be factored here. All right, now I'm going to look at, I still like to use backwards FOIL on this one as well. And so we're just going to extend that. So instead of just an x squared, we have 6x squared. So I'm thinking to myself, I either got to have a 3x and a 2x, or maybe a 6x and a 1x. So I gotta consider both options on that, right? Let's start out with the 3x and the 2x. And then I'm looking at the 20, and I'm thinking, well, what are factors of 20? I could try positive 1 and positive 20. But if I check that in my head, notice I'm going to get 6x squared, 60x plus 2x plus 20. That's just way too big. I got 62x in the middle. I need 23x in the middle. So I don't want 1 and 20. Why don't we try, I could go either, maybe I could try a 2 and a 10. Right? Well, if I try a 2 and a 10, well, that would give me a 30x and a 4x. Well, that's still too much in the middle. That's 34x. I want 23x in the middle. So instead of 2 and 10, how about let's try 4 and 5, other factors of 20, right? Factors of 20, I'm looking at the positive 20. It's got to be plus, plus, or minus, minus. Now I'm going to check that one. So I got 6x squared plus 15x plus 8x plus 20. Hey, there's my 23x in the middle. And I'm not going to bother with trying any with 6x and 1x. I know I have it right there, right? And that's how I'm kind of thinking about that, right? And I know that they're also going to sum up to that 23x. At least in the middle, they're going to sum up. Not just the factors, just because I have 3x and 2x now. But let's do this next one here. That's how I like to do these. I've got a 2x squared. So I know one of them's got to be 2x, one of them's got to be 1x. So 2x and 1x. And then I'm thinking factors of 35. Well, 1 and 35 is just going to be too much on this. I could try 5 and 7. Let's try 5 and 7. And let's check that. 2x squared plus 14x plus 5x plus 35. Well, that gives me 2x squared plus 19x plus 35. Well, that's really close, but I need a minus 19x. Well, remember, if it's a positive 35, I could have a plus and a plus, or I could have a minus times a minus, right? So let's do a minus times a minus. So that'll change. So I'll get 2x squared minus 14x minus 5x, and negative 5 times negative 7 is a plus 35. And there you go. There's our minus 19x plus 35. Again, this is going to take you some time. You're going to have to play around with this, but you'll get pretty good at doing these. Let's do one more. You go ahead and try, pause the video there. If you walk through this, you should end up with 5x minus 2 times 3x minus 1. And of course you check that. Let's do another one here. 5x squared plus 12x minus 9. So first thing I'm going to try is I'm going to try 5x and 1x. All right, those are my options there for the 5x squared. Now this is a negative 9. So one of them's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. So let's say I try a plus 1 and a minus 9. I check that. I'm like, well, that's 5x squared minus 45x plus 1x. I'm not very close at all. That's a minus 44 in the middle. So I'm going to throw out 1 and 9. Even if I tried 9 and 1, it doesn't look like 9 and 1 is going to do it for me either. So why don't I try 3 and 3? Now one's got to be positive and one's got to be negative. So let's go ahead and try that. 5x squared minus 15x plus 3x minus 9. Well, that's a, I'm getting closer. I'm like, that's a minus 12x in the middle, but I need a plus 12x in the middle. So what am I going to switch? Instead of plus minus, I'm going to go minus plus, and that'll do it for me. That'll give me a plus and a minus 3x, which is a plus 12x in the middle. And there we are, 5x minus 3 times x plus 3. So why don't we go ahead and do that next one, 6x squared minus x minus 12. We could go 6x and 1x, or with that 6x squared, we could go 3x and 2x. And I always like to try the 3x and the 2x. I don't like to try the other one. But we'll come back to the 6x and 1x if the 3x and the 2x don't work for us. And we could try factors of negative 12. So I could go plus 1 minus 12. Well, if I do plus 1 minus 12, notice that's going to be way too much in the middle there, depending. One's positive, one's negative. That's not going to work. So I'm like, well, let me try 2 and 6. 2 and 6. Let's say I tried that. That's not going to work. I get a minus 18 plus 4. That's not going to work. I could try 6 and 2. Right, the other way around. That's not going to work. Right, one's positive, one's negative. That's not going to work. How about 3 and 4? 3, 4. I'm getting closer. 6x squared minus 12 plus 6. Nope. But how about 4 and 3? 6x squared minus 9x plus 8x minus 12. There it is. There's my minus 1x in the middle. I almost had exhausted all my options. Had I run through 4, 3, 3, 4, and none of them worked, I would have gone to 6x and 1x after that, right? Do another one here with the 3x squared plus 24x minus 99. I would, if it's possible, I would go ahead and factor out. See how this one, each of them I can take a 3 out of that? That'll make life so much easier for you. Now I'm just factoring x squared plus 8x minus 33. So I know it's x and x. And then I'm looking at factors of 33, and I'm thinking, well, it's either 1 and 33, that's not going to work, or 3 and 11. One's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. It looks like that's it. X squared plus 11x minus 3x minus 33. There's the plus 8x in the middle. So there it is, completely factored. So if you can take a common factor out of them, then go ahead and do that. You can take a constant out. Right? Now this next one that we have, see how it's got a negative out front? I don't want to factor with a negative. So take a negative out of it first. That'll change all your signs. And then go ahead and factor that 5x squared minus 12x minus 9. So 5x squared. So it's got to be 5x and an x. Now I'm looking at factors of 9. I'm going to try 3 and 3. Now it's a negative 9. So one of them's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. Let's try that. 5x squared minus 15x plus a 3x minus a 9. There's the minus 12x in the middle. So it looks like that is the one that'll work for us. And so there's our factorization there. And you try this next few problems. There's actually 3 you try problems here. All 3 of those. If you want to pause the video. Shoot on these you try problems, factor out that 4 first, and then you get x plus 6x minus 3. This next one will end up being 4x plus 1 times 3x minus 5. Here you factor a negative out. You'll end up with 3x plus 4 times x minus 2. And finally, you try everything, every combination with this 6x squared plus 13x minus 2. This will actually end up being prime for you. And thanks for taking notes. See you next time.